Welcome back to a new video. So the audio was really weird when I tried to record this first time. So I took off some of the filters. So I use OBS to record anytime I'm doing screen recording or streaming. So I'm glad I was listening to that and saw that some of it was cutting out. So um, kind of annoying to have to notice that now. And I don't know if it's been doing that while I was streaming, but it is what it is. So with this video, I wanted to talk about the 13-week block and kind of go over some of the general progressions. I think I've mentioned this in different videos, but I wanted to make one that's a little bit more concise. So the primary goals you see here: 135 in the snatch, 170 clean jerks. That's at the end of the 13 weeks. Reference maxes are what I've done lately. Clean jerk a little bit lower than probably what I could do at 153, then snatch 126, what I did a couple weeks ago, and then front squat 185, back squat 230, push press 135, and behind the neck jerk 160. So with the first 5 weeks, it's a foundation. So we'll scroll down to the end because I put them all the structures together. It's a capacity phase. So obviously I'm still trying to push the weights up to lift heavier and get to maximal weights, but I want to do it with smaller jumps. So that's an example of that is with the snatch pull plus snatch where I did 112 the previous week. Obviously, typically I just go 110 to 115 and do that, but I'm trying to obviously I had a lot of misses too, so that made that decision a lot easier. But I'm trying to build more of those maximal attempts and take smaller jumps at those top ends. For strength lifts, I'm kind of still doing relatively normal jumps, but it's just trying to be more conservative with those jumps, trying to repeat the same warm up sets building up to it. I think the first time I kind of got away from that was with the clean and jerk complex, but that was because I did snatch pull plus snatch prior, so I already combined that session. If I was already if I was just doing that, then I would have still tried to do the 120 125 jump and then jump from there, which I'll probably try to do next week and then try to do 130. But it's essentially just trying to improve like 2 or 3 kilos on all the different lifts and trying to build up different things. Probably the exception to that is the Wednesday session where I do power snatches and overhead squats and then power cleans and pull or overhead presses. I'm not really trying to increase the weights on that one. I did it slightly different this week than I did the previous two, where I just went up to 80 like I did for the power snatch, but then tried to do 2 overhead squats. Or I did a muscle snatch, power snatch, overhead squat. And then for the power clean and press, instead of going up to 100, I tried to essentially do an AMRAP with 90. I just did two, but not really trying to be crazy aggressive with like an AMRAP on a Wednesday, but just trying to push a lighter weight for more reps than I would just normally do. And then I made up all the pulls, so that typically wasn't there. Um, Thursday sessions have been the snatch balance I added in. It wasn't originally programmed in, but I just wanted to have a more overhead work. It can't be bad for me to do. And then jerks from the rack and front squats. Fridays, I want it to be the same the whole time where I get to 110, 140. And then Saturday being the intensity day where I'm trying to build up to a heavier single in both the lifts each week. And more importantly, trying to be consistent with the weights building up to that each week. It's kind of weird some of the days, like the snatch pull plus snatch. I missed 100 twice and then made 110 the first, or then made 100 the third time, made 110 the first time, and then missed 115 and then made 115 and was able to make adjustments. The 100s were annoying because I knew I could make them, but then the previous week had no misses through 100 and then struggled at 110 a bunch of times. Just had like 48 misses. So it's just building that consistency with the lifts building up to that, and even if I have misses at the top end weights, still being able to have those successes at those lighter weights and not just trying to jump over them. So a lot of times if you go 110 to 115 and you never take that jump in between, I'm just going to miss whatever jump in between. So like I could even be better with that and go 100 105 110, but I want to get just consistent at that 10 kilo jump. And um, I should be, I've done it enough times at this point. But then Sunday is probably the closest to a day off that I'll get. So I don't typically do much lifting. I might do just general. I mean, as it says, recovery, just general stuff. So this past Sunday it ended up being the Saturday session. So I think for me, it's kind of the leak day as far as volume. If I need to get other stuff done that I didn't during the week, or if I need to push stuff back, it gives me that kind of buffer day. So I think I want to keep it like that. And then if the structure goes perfectly fine throughout the week, and then I did the heavy day on Saturday and it went fine. And then that Sunday, doing things outside, cardio, whatever, and just trying to just do other stuff besides just more snatches and clean and jerks, and trying to be as prepared for Monday as possible to continue that. I'm currently in the third week, so I get 2 more weeks after this one, and I've been able to progress on most every lift, I think, and so that's been going well, and hopefully that can continue to go well, and then I can set myself up well for the second phase, which is the intensification. And I use ChatGPT to come up with the phases. I have the first 5 weeks given to me from, or basically I'm repeating the first week. I'm just doing the same week and trying to linear progress it. So I don't really need to look at what it has because it was way too intense. What it had me snatching like 125 in the first week or whatever, and I'm not ready for that after doing a bunch of volume during the week. So I'm building in a logical way myself, but using the AI system to help with the exercise selection. And I liked a lot of the exercise selection. The Cliniger complex I kind of changed on my own to make a more difficult one. So there's some things I'm adjusting as I'm going, but I'm trying to keep the general idea of Monday's a snatch and back squat day, clean and jerk and pulls on Tuesday, a lighter day on Wednesday, and then the different variations like snatch, balance, and jerk from the rack and front squats on Thursday, and then Friday being the same as Saturday. It's like trying to keep the idea of it and then making adjustments, especially the first week, trying to calibrate things, which I think I've done a pretty good job at. But in the second phase, in the intensification, go from 6 to 10. So for 5 weeks there, and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 5 weeks there. Block snatches, hang cleans, front squat plus jerk, stuff like that. I already am doing push press plus jerk, so that will just continue. But just trying to push some of the top end, as it says, top end speed and confidence, but just general single exposure as well. So hopefully, if I got to those numbers, I'd be really geeked at the end of that week 10. And then the last three is a peak. I don't know if I'm going to be doing a competition at the end of this or if I'm just going to be training in the gym, but ideally I would hit 130 to 135 in the gym, and same with the clean and jerk. And obviously it would be even more ideal to do in the competition, but if I am able to do it in training and then maybe I do a competition, I don't do as much, I'm not too worried about it as long as I'm progressing and getting towards those heavier numbers. At the end of this last block, I was able to get up and attempt 130, and Clark it, but I was confident enough to try it, and definitely have to build the consistency with the numbers building up to that so I can take clean attempts and save energy for that. I also, maybe one thing I want to probably add in the intensification phase is probably some heavier cleans. Right now, the heaviest clean that I have is both on Friday and Saturday. So the 140 clean that I'll do on Friday and the one that I'll do with the heavy clean jerks. Well, both are heavy clean jerks, but the 140 clean jerk on Friday, and then the 140, 145, and 148 that I'll do this week, and build upon that. But I don't have any like a dedicated heavy clean days, and I think that's one thing when I attempted that 160 a couple of weeks ago that was really difficult with it, is that it felt tremendously heavy and I hadn't done any extremely heavy cleans, or at least like getting up to that 160. So having a day, and it could be like this intensification day. I haven't put all the information in because what I'm going to do is kind of collect the information as I go. I'm a little behind on it, but you can kind of see up here that I basically use the voice text thing with it, and it's able to give me all the stuff that I have done, and yeah, like any notes that I give in. So it does a good job of collecting all that, which is really convenient. But I'll get back on getting all of that collected there. So what I'll do is basically have all the information in this document, and then be able to paste that into ChatGPT, because I have the premium thing, so it should have some of the memory from what we talked about before in the blocks and stuff. But if not, it will get the information again and then give me suggestions for the next block. But I really want to have some heavy cleans in the next one, next 6 to 8, or weeks 6 to 10. Have some of those. I think that would be good to have. I don't think they're really necessary right now. And then obviously in the super peaking block to have just heavy clean jerks in general, but kind of pushing the variations like block snatch, the same kind of thing, like trying to get up to, maximal numbers from the blocks will be good just to have that kind of neurological stimulus of those super heavy weights. So hopefully in the 6 to 10, I'd be able to push up to above 130 in the block snatch. I think that would be really cool. And then, who knows with the other things, but we'll hopefully have some good training. But I just wanted to kind of go over that. And, as you see the structure, I'll talk, I've talked about that mostly I think it ends up being a Saturday video, but during the Friday session when I'm just kind of yapping, talking about training, different things like that. This is kind of the general map that I'm working at, and this will take me through the whole summer. Once I finish the first 5 weeks, and I get all the information in, and I plan out the next block. I think I'll do another video like this going over what the next block of training will look like. But if you've been following with my videos for the last couple weeks, for weeks 1 through 3, the days are pretty much, the exercise selections are already there. So that's not going to change until week 6. So until next time, I look forward to talking to you all. So I hope you have a great day. Peace.